Hi everyone, how's you all been? I apologise for the delay, but you can't predict these technical difficulties that keep going on. My webcam was having some issues for some reason. So, how have you guys all been? This is new, isn't it? Normally I have the paper background and everything, but I bet you didn't expect my face just to pop up on the splash screen or the pause screen here, did you? So, I thought, as I'm always trying something new when it comes to these streams, I thought, how about I just open them on this and then have the Q&A on this? We'll see if I change my mind later. So, how's everyone all been? I very quickly want to answer these super chats that popped in and give them the answers before they disappear because they have been up for a bit. So let's get my pen ready here. So we got a $5 super chat from MovieFan2002 who says, Eric, as much as I'm looking forward to your worst of 2023 list, I really hope that Disney doesn't take up nearly every spot on the list. Don't worry, it doesn't. There are a lot of bad movies that I would say that came out this year, and they all have a place on my list, but you know there's going to be some Disney ones there, but not all Disney, because there are some Disney movies this year that I did not even see, so they probably would have made the list, but I didn't watch them all. So I didn't even watch The Haunted Mansion that came out, the overpriced horror movie. Thanks again, Movie Fan, for the super chat. I really do appreciate that. Now, let's see. There was another super chat from... Let's see, where did it go? Here it is. From Rave DJ Music Videos. And this is your first super chat on a live stream. Thank you very much for the support. Give me your full thoughts on Loki Season 1 and 2. Well, I would give you my full thoughts, but I ain't seen Loki Season 1 and 2. I took a break from Marvel after Falcon and the Winter Soldier disappointed me so much, because that's the show that I was really looking the most forward to, because it was meant to take after the Winter Soldier, apparently. But then when we saw it, it was such a letdown, so I'm actually very disappointed with what they did with that, and because of that, I was like, you know what, I need a break from the MCU. I don't care what comes out next, I just need a break from them. And the next couple things that came out was Loki, the first season, and What If, the first season. So those were the things that I missed out on during my break, and I've not bothered to go back since. The reason why I've not gone back to Loki is because I know if I go to see it, I need to do a review for you guys, and that's just a lot of time I don't really want to put in right now, to be perfectly honest with you. And when you find out that Loki, a lot of people, the reason why a lot of people love Loki at the beginning was because they thought it was going to connect in a big way to, say, Multiverse of Madness, but it didn't. So Loki in its own way is like, a lot of the steam has been taken out when you realize it didn't amount to anything, because people thought Loki would really tie in heavily to the whole multiverse storyline in the MCU, and it didn't. So it was such a disappointment in that way. So yeah, something I do want to look at right here is from the Movie King 3000, who says, Hey Eric, they confirmed that the stunt coordinator from the past Netflix Daredevil show is coming to Born Again, and it's not going to have an episode count of 18 episodes, but instead maybe 13. I heard it's not going to have 18, but it's going to have a lot less. They didn't specify 13, so at least from what I read, I don't know if anything new has come out since. And good that they brought the original stunt coordinator back. He said that he had already worked on the whole hallway sequence for season 4, but then they got cancelled over at Netflix, which is a big shame, so we didn't get to see how they would do it. I think the Netflix show, from a story perspective, had done those hallway sequences very well, but if you watched Echo, there's some fight sequences, and the way that they're staged, it's like you kind of forced an action scene in here. You didn't smartly lead to it, especially the Daredevil fight scene, which just came out of nowhere. Poor, lazy writing. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but we'll talk about what I think is gonna be up with Daredevil soon. Don't worry. And as always, beneath my video screen on this page right here, if anyone joins up for my Patreon, I will put their names at the bottom, just like I did Joey Nichols the last time. So keep that in mind. If anyone joins in Patreon during live streams, I will put their names in for the rest of the stream. So, Governor says, Sup, Eric? Things are good. Marvel Cinematic Disaster? What if Monster House had a remake? I'd say don't. It's great as it is. If they want to do a sequel, I wouldn't be against that, but I don't know. I don't think it needs a sequel. I don't want to Chicken Run 2 myself again, do I? So, hi, Eric. What did I miss? Says King K. You didn't miss anything. We're just saying hi at the beginning. As long as Disney don't get in the way, Daredevil Born Again better be special and ignore his version from She-Hulk. That's what I hope as well. In fact, I wrote that down in my Echo Let's Binge Watch video, which I'm still making. Movie Fan 2002 has done another super chat. Thank you very, very much for that. Let's see. What are you asking? Man, Rave DJ Music, for your first super chat, you've got another one as well. Let's quickly write that down before I answer it. So, questions. Eric, you mentioned a while back in one of these streams that you were going to do a couple of versus videos on Puss in Boots 2. Yes, I was going to do Puss in Boots 1 versus Puss in Boots 2. But as always, a lot of other videos catch up and kind of like take like precedence on my schedule. But I do want to still do that. Don't worry, I'll get to it at some point. Rave DJ Music Videos says $2 super chat. Thank you very much. And again, Movie Fan, thank you very much for your super chat as well. These really do help, so thank you very much. Rave DJ Music Videos goes, what do you think of The Color Purple, the 2023 movie? I'm going to be honest with you, I've not seen that movie, and I've not even seen the Spielberg original. If I was going to watch any of them, I would watch the Spielberg version, I think. So yeah, that's really my answer to that, is I've not seen it. And Batman's Gamer, man, you guys are really coming in with the super chats today. Thank you very much. Let's see. $2 super chat. Superman will have a sense of humor, says Rachel. Yeah, but thing is, Superman always has a sense of humor. It's just so long as he doesn't have James Gunn's sense of humor, because Superman has got his own style of humor, and it's not James Gunn's style. So I hope James Gunn takes that into account. Invincible Season 2 Part 2 announcement next week. I just think the whole pause for Invincible Season 2 has been a disgrace. Like an absolute disgrace. They were acting like you're gonna need a break after what you see at the end, in the first half of Season 2, and what you see is good, but it's not, I need a break, I need some time. I thought it was gonna be bigger than that. It really wasn't. So, even if you needed a break, you don't need this long of a break. My speculation is that they had not even completed Season 2. So they're halfway through it, I think, and they wanted to release the episode sooner rather than later. So they released them, and now that we got to wait for them to finish the final half of Season 2. That's what I think is really up, and they just don't want to admit that. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. So, Selena says, read my comment, but your last comment was retracted. So was your comment before that. Which one do you want me to read? Brandon Gaming. Hi, Eric. Hi, Brandon. Govinish Cannon. I hope I said your name right. Yo, Eric, when's the worst film list video coming? It probably would have come today, you know, but I'm working on... I had to prepare for the stream, so probably tomorrow. Don't hold me to that. But you're very, very close now. Don't worry. Not long. But making a top 10 list... Did I say that before? I can't even remember. It's a top 10 worst movies list. So there is a lot of movies on that list. I don't know if I was going to properly announce that, but I guess I will now. But unless I did say it before and I can't remember. But yeah, it's going to be a top 10 worst movies list. That's why it's taking longer. The video, you know, when you make a top 10 list, it's longer. And there's a lot more movies I'm talking about. The Logman, when are you releasing your Spider-Man vs. Spider-Man 2 video game video? I haven't even gotten back to working on that yet. After I work on this top 10 worst list, then the Echo Let's Binge Watch video, hopefully then I can get to work on the Spider-Man one and get to work on that. So yeah. Selena, you keep retracting your messages as soon as I'm looking at them. I can't answer your questions if you keep doing that. Alright, anyway, we're going to get into the stories now, and the rules as always, guys, whenever I talk about this stuff, the rules as always is that I'm going to be focusing on the story at hand. I will glance at the chat. I will glance at the chat and I'll occasionally read something out loud, but I won't be taking any questions right now. The only questions that I will take will be from Super Chats or from Streamlabs chats, which I have pinned in the comments section. If you donate through Streamlabs, I get all of the donation from you, and YouTube don't take anything. And YouTube would take a percentage from you if you donate through Super Chats. Either way, it still helps me out, so do whatever you prefer to do. But I'm just letting you know, those are the rules for when I do these stories. So if you really want your question answered, and you want to help support the channel, then by all means do the Streamlabs chat or the Super Chat. And if not, then you can wait and I'll answer your question later during the Q&A session. But the topic at hand, that's what I'm going to be dealing with, and I don't want to get distracted with your questions, because then I usually get off topic that way. So I'm doing very good. Alec Barton, thank you for showing up at the stream. So let's get this stream started then. Well, let's get my notes and everything ready. Now, Madam Webb, a movie that is right around the corner and no one seems to care about. Now, I want to start this off by saying, wow, Movie Fan 2002. Thank you very much for the $20 super chat. Is that a record from you? Wow, thank you very much. In Chicken Run Versus video, you mentioned that the composers who did the scores for the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy and the Shrek films, which of these two DreamWorks franchises do you prefer? I prefer the Shrek franchise. I love How to Train Your Dragon, but Shrek really speaks to my heart, because that's something I watched. Shrek was also one of the first few movies I saw in the cinema as a kid. It came out in 2001, didn't it, the first Shrek? And I'd seen I think a handful of movies at that point, maybe more than a handful. But it was one of the earliest memories I have. And a lot of adults were laughing at jokes that I did not get, and I was like, why are the adults laughing louder than the kids? I didn't get that. Now I do, but at the time I didn't. And my dad was enjoying himself unusually quite a lot more when watching a kids movie than he usually did, so that was always kind of a big giveaway that something was happening that I wasn't clued in on. Until I got older, then I was. Alright, thank you very much, Movie Fan, for the super chat. Seriously, you're helping out a great deal with these super chats. Pizza Man said it very funny about Madam Webb. At least the CW staff are getting work at Sony. Yep, that is very true. Anyway, back to the story. Now, Madam Webb is coming out, a movie that no one seems to care about, and it does very much look like, everyone has said this, it looks like a CW show in terms of its production values, and no one is interested in it. Rave DJ Music Videos, thank you very much for the $2 super chat. You guys are very very super chat heavy today. Thank you very much. What do you think of the Kung Fu Panda trilogy? I saw the first movie, I cannot remember it. I saw the second movie, I can vaguely remember that, and I did not see the third movie. But I did remember liking the second one a lot more than the first one. That's what I remember. But I also did like the first one. I still haven't seen the third one, so I'll hopefully try to make myself watch them at some point. Thanks again for the super chats. So yes, no one's looking forward to Madam Webb. And what's really interesting is that it seems like Sony have given up on Madam Webb as well. And I'll tell you why. Do you remember when Morbius came out and Sony were determined to connect Morbius and the MCU Spider-Man together? They were saying they were going to put it in the same universe, essentially. Give me a second here. Let me add this in. When you're dealing with editing pictures and images, software can sometimes be a bit fiddly. Let me just sort this out here, then we can get back on point. Here we go. Alright. So do you remember when Sony said that they were determined to connect Morbius to the MCU? And this article, if I take a look, was dated... Man, everything is so small today, talking of technical difficulties. Here. March 23rd, 2022. That's when they basically put that out. But then, when we got closer to the release of Morbius, they then put this. There was this article that came out. The Morbius madness continues as Sony removes Spider-Man references. So basically what happened is that Sony realized, oh crap, this movie is going to suck. So we don't want Spider-Man to be, as a brand, as a character, we don't want him to get worse or to turn people off from him. So let's just take him out of all every scene that we've referenced him in. Let's take him out. Like the graffiti wall. Let's remove this. This shot you see of Jared Leto here. It was in a shot like this, or a similar shot. You saw a Spider-Man painting on the wall, on a brick wall. But then that painting was removed from the movie, and you didn't see that shot in the movie. And they did it with all the other references throughout, Spider-Man references throughout the film as well. And that was funny because it basically showed that Marvel had just completely lost faith in Morbius. And guess what? Madam Web is a movie as well that was also apparently supposed to connect and have a bunch of Spider-Mans in it, or at least have one of them. And get this. Recently this came out. Madam Web reshoots reportedly remove major Spider-Man connections. So basically what this is that Madam Web was apparently, and we heard rumors of this for a while, was supposed to have a Spider-Man connection in it. And the Spider-Man connection they were apparently going to have was going to be either Maguire, Garfield, or Tom Holland. And we were wondering, which one are they going to do? Which one of them would even say yes to this? Because this seems like such a bad idea. And Sony apparently wanted Andrew Garfield, and I'm assuming he turned them down. So they says, okay, we won't use him. We'll bring in Tom Holland, because Sony have been always trying to get their anti-hero villain verse off the ground and then have it face off against some type of Spider-Man. But then with Tom Holland, they thought, no, we're going to remove him as well. And then they took, because apparently it made no sense, the story. The story made no sense, and they were like, well, we can't put him in. So they took him out, then they just got rid of all of the Spider-Man references. And again, that tells me they have no faith in this movie. Just like they had no faith with Morbius at the last second, and they pulled out all the Spider-Man references because they were afraid it was going to dilute their brand. They are doing the exact same thing now with the Spider-Mans in Madam Web. It's funny how Sony just keep falling down this same pattern of behavior, and they keep releasing this stuff with no plan behind it, and they think whatever we get these writers to do, we'll find a way to work Spider-Man in. But then it turns out they can't work him in, and they're like, alright, just take him out. And this is the second time they've done it now. What do you want to bet they try to do it with Kraven, and then that will be the third time? This is very embarrassing. I think Sony are realizing that this villain verse of theirs is not working out. Because what is it that they did with Venom 3? It was announced recently that Venom 3 was going to be the last movie. So it shows you that Venom was what they started out with when they were going to do this whole villain verse. And now it turns out it's not working for them. So they're saying, yeah, we're just not going to do it. We're going to stop with Venom 3, make whatever money we can, and just stop. They're clearly not going to make another Morbius. I doubt they're going to make another Madam Web after this. Because coming off of The Marvels, which was an all-female cast that no one asked for, all of a sudden, that movie flops, and was also meant to tease the X-Men. And now they've got Sony have their all-female group of heroes here in Madam Web, and they were also going to tie in a bigger superhero to sell it, but it's just not working. Basically, the exact same problems that the Marvels had is what Madam Web looks like it's going to have, and I think Sony are onto that, and they realize, crap, this is not going to do us any good. So, yeah, I think they're trying to jump ship. I think they're starting to now realize that this is not working, this whole villain verse of theirs. So, yeah, this is exactly the same thing that happened to Morbius, where they were going to tie it into Spider-Man, but then when they found that the movie sucked, they removed all traces and ties of Spider-Man from the film, and now they're doing the same thing with Madam Web. This just proves that they put no thought into this or Morbius, and they embarrassingly put together credits, and they embarrassingly. Do you guys remember when they embarrassingly put together credit scenes for Morbius? That embarrassingly put together credit scene for Morbius just proves that there's no care with any of this. Now, I haven't heard of this myself, but to make things worse, my younger brother said that Tobey Maguire's stunt double has been spotted around the set, and this has been going on for a while, apparently. And that means that at some point, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was going to show up in the film. And I, however, thought that if that really was the case, then Sony would have done some marketing to tease that by now, as no one is interested or even talking about Madam Web. So if they don't tease that in the marketing, then I don't think that he is going to be in the movie. Because it was reported that some of the reshoots were even having Maguire's stunt double in there. But again, given how bad, this movie is pretty much DOA at this point, I think Sony would try to put in some leaks or something into the marketing to say, look, Tobey Maguire is going to be back in here, just so they can save face and at least get some money from it, but they're not doing it. So I think there is no trace of Spider-Man in this, and basically the crappy movie it looks like we're going to get in that trailer is the crappy movie that we're ultimately going to get when the movie releases. And also, the director for Madam Web said this: Madam Web's time setting now confirmed as movie's director says it's set in a standalone world. Now, just think about how stupid that is. We already know that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is in the MCU, but then we know that Tom Hardy's Venom, is in another universe. So Tom Hardy's Venom is in another universe, and he's supposed to be in the same universe, apparently, as Morbius, and then they brought Vulture into that same universe. But now they're saying that this universe, apparently because it's meant to be deal with time travel, is supposed to take place in 2003. Apparently this movie makes no sense that they are now saying, yeah, it's in a standalone world. That's what... Look, when Matt Reeves said it, it made sense. When they said it for Joker, Todd Phillips' Joker, it made sense. Those were Elseworld stories. No one in their right mind would greenlight a Madam Web Elseworld story. This was supposed to be part of their villain universe, but they did not think it through, and now they're trying to say, oh yeah, to avoid looking incompetent, which is too late, they're trying to say, oh yeah, this is set in a standalone world. That's what we intended. No, they didn't. This just goes to show, it's classic Sony. They have no clue what they're doing. And they're almost even more clueless than the MCU, in a way. Because the MCU can try to come up with some BS to try to say, look, it's part of the plan. But Sony, it's like they kind of let it out of the bag at the beginning that this is what this is supposed to be. Madam Web is supposed to be another one of our anti-hero movies that takes place in that same world. And now, at the end, when the movie's about to release and they know it's going to be a bomb, all of a sudden they're saying, oh no, it's its own standalone world. Yeah, you're not fooling anyone, Sony. We just know that you're incompetent. So, yeah. It is very funny, this whole Madam Web situation. Whew. So, yeah, I'm kind of done talking about Sony's incompetence. Take the floor, guys. What do you think of this? Sony, the English Scotsman says, Sony really want to do absolutely F all with Spidey, don't they? Yeah, because I said after No Way Home, the best thing to do now, forget all your dumb BS spin-offs that Sony are trying to do, greenlight Spider-Man 4 for Tobey Maguire, and greenlight Amazing Spider-Man 3 for Andrew Garfield. That's what they had to do, and that would have brought in money. The movies would have probably been released by now, or close to being released. But instead, look at what they're doing. They have this, Madam Web, a movie that we all know is going to flop. Looks like I got a Streamlabs chat, a $1 Streamlabs chat. And it's from Joey, who says, oh, Joey Nicholas, who's the new patron I'd mentioned. Well, let's write that down. Thank you, Joey, for writing that down. I probably wouldn't have realized it was you. I would have thought it was another Joey. Hi Eric, it's Joey Nicholas. I have two questions. One, if you have The Flash an 8 out of 10, why didn't it make your best movies of 2023 list? Two, did Guardians of the Galaxy 3 fix Drax for you? Well, very easy answer with The Flash movie. It's an 8 out of 10 for what it is. That doesn't mean it's on like some great scale or anything. It's an 8 out of 10 meaning I said it was entertaining. Entertaining does not translate to best movie of the year. But on the entertainment scale, it was an 8 out of 10. In terms of like a great movie, I would put something like Batman Begins on an 8 out of 10. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is not even on that level, like a great movie, but I thought it was a very good movie, and that's why I put it on that list. But it did have problems for me. Another one of those problems leads into your second question, which is, did it fix Drax for me? It did not fix Drax. If anything, it just kind of made him worse, I think. Well, can he really get worse, actually, than he was in Guardians 2? I don't know, but they didn't make him better, in my opinion. They gave him a couple nice scenes, but still, I thought they just ruined Drax still. But thanks for the Streamlabs chat. I really appreciate that. Rave, another super chat. From your first super chat, you've done like 3 or 4 of them. Well, 3 of them now. Let's celebrate their 3rd super chat on a live stream. Well, yeah, thank you very much for that. I really do appreciate that. So, your question is, what are some Marvel comics you have read? Well, I've not read a ton of them, but one of the Marvel comics that I read was Deadpool Kills the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's one of the ones that I've read. There's a couple of them too. And there was also The Punisher Kills the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I've read those. I've not really looked into some of the others, although I do want to read some X-Men comics and take a look at that. But yeah, I've not read a lot of them, to be perfectly honest with you. I do want to, though, but I tried to get into Batman comics more, and I need to get back to reading those comics. I haven't done it for a couple of years, but I've got them on my iPad. I do need to get back to them. But I did read a good few Batman comics. I read The Long Halloween. I read Dark Victory. The Court of Owls is the next one I'm supposed to go to. And I've already read another one, too, which I can't remember what it was, but yeah. And there's a couple of the smaller ones that I read, too, which were fun. Zilla Universe says, still disagree with you on The Flash. That movie was trash. Yeah, no problem. I had fun with it. Brandon Gaming, what is your best slasher movie? Scream 1. Okay. Madam Webb, make this Madam Webb related, your comments, guys. Oh, Adam Grunther is in the chat. I don't know. I don't know when you dropped in. If it was before I talked about this situation, during, or after. But Adam Grunther says, you should watch Guardians 2 again. If you look past the comedic Drax scenes, there's a powerful scene between him and Mantis where she feels him and she starts crying, but his face is stone cold. I do like that scene, but again, it's like just too few and far between. Like, Drax was doing nothing but laugh in Guardians 2. Even my sister, who's more lenient on Drax being comedic than I am, even she was like, they made Drax laugh too much. Like, she didn't even know what they were doing. Like, he was laughing at everything. Even when he saw a bubble, he just poked it during that music video scene, and he just started laughing again. He's just way too much laughing. Way too much. I liked him a lot in the first movie. I think he's just lost it after the others. Like, they just leaned too much into the comedy. And even Dave Bautista did not like that about the character. Yeah, Batman's Gamer, Adam is here. People are asking about you, Adam Grunther. Like, they were saying, where is Adam Grunther? So, yeah. Rohan says, Eric, see my question and see my second question. And don't worry, I'll read your questions in the Q&A session. This is a couple questions I'm reading, but I'm ultimately talking about Madam Webb here. Adam just came in. Well, I'm glad that you just came in. Because sometimes you come in towards the end. And I'm glad that you've come now, so that's good. Either it was you that came in towards the end or someone else. Or it felt like you came in towards the end before. But anyway. Have you seen Madam Webb on other media, Eric? What do you mean? Do you mean like in the comics? The only time I've seen Madam Webb was in one of the games. I think it was Shattered Dimensions. And the other time I saw her, which is where I was introduced to her, was in the 90s Spider-Man animated series. That's where I also saw her. Brandon says, next one. What is your worst slasher movie? I don't know. I haven't really thought of one, to be perfectly honest with you. I've got another Streamlabs chat, which is great because, like I say, none of the donation goes to YouTube at all that way. It's another $1, and it's from Joey, who says, will you ever do a versus video between Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic the Hedgehog 2, since Sonic 3 is coming out this year? Who knows, maybe I'll do a three-way versus video between the three, or maybe I'll just do Sonic 2 versus 3 or something. I don't want to keep doing Sonic 1. I feel like I've covered it a lot at this point. But we'll see what I do. We'll see what happens. Adam, Rave DJ music videos goes likely the comics, I think. Batman's Gamer says, I only watched was the 90s animated series. Same for yeah, that was the same for me. Madam Flop, says Selena. Adam says, I liked her in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. If she was in a Spider-Man movie, I wouldn't mind this. I wouldn't mind, but this feels like a dumber idea than a Morbius movie. Yeah, it just made no sense that they were doing this, because she's supposed to be a character that normally consults Spider-Man, at least to my knowledge, and to bring in all these nobody Spider-Women characters, this feels very much like a worse version of the Marvels, because with the Marvels, at least the MCU tried to introduce them. They didn't do a good job, and they just rushed their movie out, but at least they tried to establish them. Here, they've established no one. They've just said, here's your girl team, and that's basically it. I feel like they tried to tap into a market that Marvel was trying to with the Marvels, and I think they just realized when it was too late that, yeah, audiences don't want that. So they're gonna be. I think they're gonna do a worse job than the Marvels. You know, Madam Web. I think they're gonna do a worse job. Movie Fan 2002, another $5 super chat. You guys are very generous with the super chats today. It makes me very happy because, like I said, it always helps. Let's see. Movie Fan says, "Did you find the hatred for Miles Morales with him being black before Across the Spider-Verse was stupid like I did?" Let me read that again. "Did you find the hatred for Miles Morales with him being black before Across the Spider-Verse stupid like I did?" I wasn't really aware of Miles Morales before Across the Spider-Verse. I knew of him, but I didn't really look into his stories or anything. But I knew that he was going to be in the PS4 game because they showed a trailer where they teased him at the end. I was like, that's the first time I was like, oh, there's another Spider-Man. They're actually going to bring him into the medium now. I was like, okay, then let's see what he does. So I was curious. Then Into the Spider-Verse did a great job with him. I liked him a lot in this PS4 game. I like him a lot in the PS5 game as well. But I really hope they don't replace Peter Parker with him, which is what they said. Insomniac said they're going to do with Spider-Man 3. And that ending at Spider-Man 2 was kind of stupid, how Peter was just giving him the reins. It felt forced. It made no sense either, that Peter would just hand over the reins like that. Because they both very much, like, occupy their own part of the city. And for him to just say, here, you take all of it, it just felt very un-Spider-Man-like to me, the way it happened. But yes, that criticism, this is what I've always said. Don't pointlessly race bend a character. It's not going to do anyone any favors. Look at all the race bended characters that they've tried to do in movies and stuff. They've not taken off. But the characters that do take off are the original black characters like Black Panther, Blade, and yes, Miles Morales. And Miles Morales has excelled because of it, and now he's got his own place in pop culture history and comic book history. That is far more influential and far more it's just far more awe-inspiring than just saying, here, we're getting a character and we're just race swapping them. It's like, that's just the studio taking shortcuts. They don't want to put the work and the effort in. But look what Lord and Miller did. They didn't just do a black Spider-Man, they did a Spider-Woman, a Spider-Girl. They turned Gwen Stacy, of all people, into a Spider-Man, and it worked. You gotta do it in a way where it feels like you're putting effort behind it, but just so many of the race changes or gender swaps and all that, it doesn't feel like they're putting work in it. It feels like they're just trying to just quickly just rush to the finish line and not put in the hard work and effort that comes with creating a new popular character. So they're saying, we don't want to bother creating a new popular character. That's too much work. We don't want to put too much work in. So let's just race swap a character. And if you look at the sheer amount of bad movies that have come out in 2023, like big blockbusters that are just completely uninspired, it shows that not just with the race changing, but in many other aspects, Hollywood are trying to find the cheap way out, and it's not working for them. It's not working for them with the diversity quick ways out they're trying to do, and a lot of people are holding them to that, and it's not working in the story department or the character department either. Certainly not in the representation side of things. It's not working for them either. So yeah, they just need to get their finger out, put some work in, and stop being so lazy. And then you'll get great characters like Miles Morales. Adam Grunther says, I at least liked Kamala Khan. There's no way in hell I'm going to like these characters. Yeah, I liked Kamala Khan too. I don't like any of these characters either. They just, I think I said this on my trailer reaction on Patreon. They just look like CW actresses. Like they hired these actresses for a CW show. They don't look like movie caliber actors. Like actors just have a look to them where they look like the movie actors or TV actors. These all, aside from Dakota Johnson, these all look like TV actors. Although I would argue Dakota Johnson is kind of like a streaming movie actress if I look at her, because I've seen her in some movies on that side. What was that? I think there's only one movie I saw her in. It was that Bad Times at the El Royale, that movie that was trying to be a Quentin Tarantino movie. That's the only thing I've seen her in. And we got a $10 super chat from Movie Fan. Again, thank you very much. Who says, okay, I think you don't know what I mean. Before Across the Spider-Verse was released back in June, some people were saying that the animated Miles Morales never deserved to be Spider-Man. Were they? I must have missed that. Don't know what I mean. this is before Across the Spider-Verse, so after Into the Spider-Verse had come out, and after they had already seen that, they were saying that he didn't deserve to be a Spider-Man. That's ridiculous. I will say this, even though I like Miles Morales, I don't want him to be the main Spider-Man. To me, the main hero is still the OG. Clark Kent is still Superman. Bruce Wayne is still Batman. Peter Parker is still Spider-Man. Those I still think are the definitive ones, like, the main face of the character, the OG, essentially. So I wouldn't want them replacing that, but him being his own Spider-Man, like the multiverse, that's fine. There's no problem with that. Heck, I even liked Gwen Stacy's Spider-Man and Nicolas Cage's as Spider-Man Noir. They all have their different place in the multiverse, and they are their own Spider-Mans for that multiverse. And Miles Morales is a welcome member as a Spider-Man. So yeah, that is ridiculous. I don't agree with that. From them saying he's not saying that he never deserved to be Spider-Man. Although I did hear something about, I think I did hear was it the writers or the directors of Across the Spider-Verse saying that when Miguel was yelling at Miles saying, "You don't deserve to be here," that was a little bit of a nod to what people were saying in real life. I'll applaud that they did it in a way that was not just pandering dialogue or anything like that, like they were taking their social media tweets and just putting it in the movie. It felt like natural dialogue that Miguel O'Hara would say, because he was an anomaly, wasn't he, Miles? He wasn't supposed to get bitten by that spider, but he did, and his Spider-Man died. Like, very well done with the writing, seriously. Whether if it was Disney or something, they would just put it in as dialogue, just to kind of like say, see, we're combating the social media trolls. It's like, yeah, but now you've tainted your movie with writing that feels like it's just taken social media posts and just written it into this and just pasted it into the script. So yeah, that's my long rant on it. But basically, Miles Morales is a great Spider-Man, and I'm so glad that he's getting more recognition. Rohan says, I think we can all agree that Kamala Khan carried that movie hard. She did. She definitely did. But there were certain dialogue bits that even she couldn't carry. Like when the Captain Marvel was about to dance or whatever, and they said, what is she doing? And then they said, she's going with the flow. I was like, even she couldn't make that sound good. That was just stupid, that was. Adam Grunther says, the phrase Miles Morales is Miles Morales is beyond stupid. Is Tim Drake not Robin because Dick Grayson was? Is Jon Stewart not Green Lantern because Hal Jordan was? Give me a break. Miles Morales is Miles Morales. Yeah, I know what you mean. He is definitely Spider-Man, although it's bizarre. I call Peter Parker, but Miles, I always call him Miles Morales a lot more than I do Spider-Man. I think it's because it's easier that way to differentiate when you're speaking. You say Miles is Spider-Man or Peter Spider-Man. But with Miles, I think it's just easier when you just say Miles Morales. Miles Morales is such a badass name. It's like, it's fun to say, and it kind of like, once you know his backstory and everything, it kind of just, it feels like a cool name to say out loud. It's just some of the superheroes have fun names to say. Miles Morales is just a fun name to me. Anakin Solo says, hi Eric, what is your opinion on Star Wars Legends? We're not going to be talking about that yet. That'll be for the Q&A session. Let's see. I think we should best move on to the next story now, shouldn't we? Because we are staying on topic with Marvel there. I don't think moving on to Star Wars right now would be the best thing. So yeah, Marvel is kind of in deep trouble right now, aren't they? The Sony side, the MCU side. Not to mention, Deadpool 3 they're still shooting it, and it's supposed to come out in 5 months. I'm telling you right now, I think Deadpool 3 is going to be delayed to probably the latter part of this year, or maybe even to somewhere in 2025. Worst case scenario. But they really need to, because Marvel they're just rushing these projects out, like, just way too fast. Case in point, Daredevil Born Again. Now, for those of you that might not remember, Daredevil Born Again was going to have 18 episodes on the MCU, on Disney Plus, basically, for the MCU version. They were going to do a soft reboot. They were going to kill Karen and Foggy off screen because they hadn't even hired the original actors. And they were going to try to give Matt Murdock 2 new love interests, and they were going to bring in new characters for him to interact with, which I'm sure are more marketable characters, or more MCU goofy characters that he was going to have with them, as opposed to Karen and Foggy. So apparently they had too much dignity for the MCU. But apparently, after all this bad press that the MCU has been getting, Feige was like, "All right, I can't let them release. I can't release this crap anymore. I'm gonna get in serious trouble." And there are rumors that he's afraid of losing his job now. So I think that's another reason why he said, "All right, let's do Daredevil Born Again again." So he scrapped it, even though they shot like 9 episodes, and he fired the directors and they brought on more people. So the beginning of November is when, well, the end of November, I should say. The end of October, sorry. At the end of October, that's when the article came out, and it was basically announced that the MCU, they've found their new writers, is what they said. They found their new writers. They were going to get the Punisher showrunner, and they were going to get the Loki Season 2 directors to direct Daredevil, and the Punisher showrunner was going to come in. Which I did not like that Punisher show. I thought it was painfully average. But they basically got them to come in and work on the new Daredevil Born Again. And guess what? They announced that at the end of October. So basically the beginning of November is when the writers were essentially going to get in the writers' room and start writing out the new story and writing out the scripts for Daredevil Born Again. I don't think it's going to be a season 4, but we'll see. So the beginning of November, that's when they started writing, and now we're in the 21st of January, and guess what? Tomorrow, when it's the 22nd of January, apparently they are going to start filming the show. And let me tell you, I got bloody pissed off when I heard about that. I mean, this really is just ridiculous. Okay, I've got 2 super chats which I'll answer in a question. Bear with me a second. This really is just ridiculous, this is. Because they wrote the whole... This basically means that they wrote the whole season of Daredevil Born Again in just over 2 months. And that does not even include the fact that they take time off most likely for Thanksgiving, they take time off for Christmas, and presumably for the New Year. So, just over 2 months... Then take away Thanksgiving, Christmas, and the New Year. So basically, they've had maybe 2 months tops to write this show. At most, they had 2 months to write this new season. And they are going into production tomorrow. That is just too soon. This just shows that they are rushing the creative process again, and they are doing it with one of the most important aspects, the writing. This just shows that they are... And before... hang on. And by the way, and before shooting... Keep this in mind, the script is not there just for the directors. Before shooting, you need to give the other departments enough time to read the script themselves, so they can create sets, they can design the action choreography and everything else in order to create the show. But this just reeks of Marvel rushing their productions again. And after Echo followed a very similar work ethic, you know what that means. It means that the show is going to most likely get reshot again, because they're not going to have everything prepared, and they're not going to have everything ready, and everything's going to be just a mess. And in the end, it's going to be a mishmash of reshoots and original shots mixed with some scenes from the cancelled Born Again show, because they said they were going to use some of that in the final show. And yeah, what that's going to result in is just going to be another mess. And after seeing how terribly they handled the Echo show and gave it a very cheap R rating, I don't have any faith in Marvel to handle the show correctly. I don't even have any faith in them to handle the R rating correctly. And if they were going to handle it correctly, then they would have hired the showrunner for Daredevil Season 3. They would have had him come in and make his planned Season 4. Instead, they hired the guy that did the painfully average Punisher show to come in and work on the show. So, yeah, Marvel, they really have no clue what they're doing here. So, I don't even know what to say about it. They really are just stupid. I don't know, Batman's Game if he showed up, but when he clearly was an Echo, but it was only for one scene, which is very clumsily written. Now, there's 2 Streamlabs chats. Let me quickly answer those. Patrick Style has given me 2 $1 super chats. Thank you very much for that, buddy. Yeah, $1. Have you heard about the cancelled El Naruto movie from Sony? That movie would have genuinely been the best comic book movie of all time, topping The Dark Knight and Infinity War. How dare Sony take away this absolute masterpiece from us? El Naruto? What is that? Buddy, when you say top The Dark Knight, I don't even know how you can say that. Okay, buddy, let me tell you this. If you like this character, I don't think it compares to something like The Dark Knight. I don't even think it compares to Infinity War. But if you like this character, let me tell you, the fact that Sony cancelled it is a good thing. You should be actually very happy, because look at the quality of their spin-offs currently. They've been very, very bad. If they made it, it would probably be just another CW movie, or worse. So be glad they cancelled it. Not if it was my favourite character that they made a spin-off of, and they cancelled it, I would be so relieved. So be relieved is what I should say. Is what I would say to you, Patrick, because Sony would have just done a crap job of it. And his second super chat, your second super chat is, sorry to interrupt, but I'm just wondering if you have read the terrible Spider-Man comics by Zeb Wells. Also, you missed my previous question on Streamlabs. I'm sorry for being late on answering the question. I had my train of thought on the Daredevil story. I wanted to quickly get it out and then answer it. I haven't read Zeb Wells comics. Like I said, I want to read some more comics. I want to get into X-Men and then eventually Spider-Man, but I would be reading the better Spider-Man comics. I do tend to look into these things. So, yeah, I wouldn't be reading his if they're that bad. I'm sure a lot of people would warn me about it. But, yeah. This Netflix Daredevil show... Disney Plus Daredevil show from the MCU is going to be crap. Oh, you were joking, Patrick. Style. That was you, wasn't it? You were joking. Okay. I couldn't tell you were joking. It's hard to tell unless I hear you speak. Just text. When you read text, you can't tell if someone's joking sometimes. Okay, then. That was me being dumb if I missed it. Yeah, that's... Just be glad anytime Sony cancel a spin-off. I think they should have cancelled all of these. But yeah, Angelo, you're very right. Marvel just don't get it. At this point, I don't think they're really not. They're just not gonna. They're not gonna improve at this point. I really do think that Kevin Feige just needs to be fired at this point. Because why is he not hiring some better talent to tell these stories, and why isn't he giving them their space? Instead, they're just controlling them and telling them, no, do the MCU thing that we've always been doing. Even Echo had a lot of jokey, quirky MCU humor in there. They had a side character in there called Biscuits. Biscuits. It's like they're just doing jokes every single time. And that's supposed to be the adult R-rated show. The Batman, which was PG-13, far darker than anything in Echo. And that was PG-13. They really just don't have a clue. So what are your guys' thoughts on what they're going to do with Daredevil? Do you still have hope in it? Do you think that they're just rushing production very quickly? Because it's been less than 2 months if you take out, like I said, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and the New Year's. It's like they've barely had much time to write, and all of a sudden they're going to start shooting tomorrow. That is so bloody quick. Biscuits, Jacob, not Piscuits. The G-Gamer says, maybe he is egotistical. I think he's just dropped the ball. I think he's just... It seems like he's almost unwell. He's making these decisions that are just not good ones. Like anyone he's supposed to be a big fan of comic books, but anyone can basically tell him that that is a bad idea, but he, for some reason, just keeps doing them anyway. Even, like I said, doing a female Silver Surfer. I want to see another live-action Silver Surfer. I liked how it was done in the Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer movie. I liked his the way they executed him a lot. And people are going to look back at the new MCU Fantastic Four, and then look back at the Fantastic Four movies that people did not like from Tim Story, and they're going to say, oh yeah, that movie got the Silver Surfer, it did him better. Batman's Gamer has also brought up a very good point. Kevin Feige warned directors not to read comics of the characters they'll hire to direct. Yeah, that's very true. Gregory, I don't know what scores I would give them. I need to see some of them again, so that's why I can just rank them accordingly. I've done videos on some of them, so you can check out my scores on those, but I don't know right now what I'd give them until I see them again. It's been a while since I've seen them, but I do know that I enjoyed them a lot and they were on my list. Patrick Starr says, people are constantly saying that Marvel is finally learning that the fans have finally won, but it feels like they're just rushing out changes to appease people because they've been flopping. Quite on the contrary, it seems like that, but it also seems like they're doing quantity over quality. Didn't Bob Iger say recently that they're going to try to... He said this to shareholders and investors, that they're going to try to do quality over quantity. And that was just about a couple days ago. And now we're getting this, and it does seem very much like they're trying to do quantity over quality. Releasing Echo is very much the exact proof of that too. Quantity over quality. He really is. They really are just insane down there at Disney. They really need a change in leadership because the current leadership is just a bunch of fools, quite frankly. Jess says, yeah, Eric, since Phase 4, all their movies and shows look cheap. Yeah, they do look cheap. They rush them. And you've had other movies that cost far less that have embarrassed them. The Creator, I just saw that yesterday. Oh, excuse me, that came out of nowhere. The Creator, the movie that Gareth Edwards that made that? Yeah. He did a phenomenal job with just an $80 million budget. I was shocked how good the effects looked in that movie. The effects were so good in that movie that you didn't even think about them. Thank you, Jess. The effects are so good that you don't even think about them. Gregory, I think Puss in Boots 2 would be I'm not going to say, actually, because I said I want to do a versus video at some point. My bad, I almost gave it away there. Anyway. Where was I? Ooh, I lost my train of thought. You guys are going to have to help me. What was I just talking about? And I'll wait for your messages. The Creator. Thank you, Cole. Thank you. I don't know why. I just completely lost what my trail of thought. But yeah, The Creator. I didn't even notice, I wasn't even thinking about the effects. Too many movies nowadays, you think about the effects, oh, that looks fake, that looks fake, that looks fake, that looks cheap, that's a green screen. That CGI model didn't look that bad earlier in the movie, why does it look so bad now? You get so much of the thoughts in your head where you're criticizing the CGI because it just looks so obvious. But when you watch The Creator, you don't even think about the effects. A couple times I did. I was like, alright, that looks a bit cheap, and that looks a bit cheap. But most of the time, it is shocking how great that movie looks. And I did enjoy the movie too, by the way. I thought they could have done better in many ways, especially the relationship between the main character and the girl. I don't think John David Washington is a particularly good actor. I think it's nepotism more than anything that is giving him all these roles. He just doesn't have charisma, in my opinion. But the movie itself, I did really enjoy, even though I did have notes that I would have given Gareth Edwards personally. But yeah, I have no faith in Daredevil Born Again. How about you guys? Do you have faith in it? Yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean CGI looked better than most MCU movies nowadays. Even Davy Jones looked phenomenal. To this day, he still looks great. Arathorn says, just rewatch the old show. Yep. A lot of other people have no thoughts on this. I take it that means you agree with what I'm saying in that case. Yeah, that is true, Jess. Michael Bay's Transformers does have better CGI. I mentioned that in one of my upcoming videos, I think, as well. I've written on the script, I've written that. Cole says, if they're going to rush the show out like this, then I don't really have any faith. Jess says She-Hulk is woke and gets a 1 out of 10. I can't argue with you there. It was just virtue signaling again. And they just made Bruce Banner's Hulk unlikable. It really... Yeah, I didn't like what they did. Adam Grunther says, it depends, to be honest. I'm glad they're doing a creative overhaul. If they got the showrun from Daredevil Season 3, then I'd have more faith. Exactly! We would all have more faith. And do you know what the worst thing is? Is that showrunner, I looked into him, he's not doing anything. He's free. I think that poor guy is actually looking for work. And it's like they try to... That's what I mean when I say Kevin Feige is just so freaking weird lately. He seems like a crazy person. It's like the obvious choice would be to get him back and then get him to continue it. But the guy's free, and Kevin Feige's like, no, I'm not going to go to him. It's like, why? There's your answer right there. Leave it to him. They've proved themselves before. If you're worried that your quality control is slipping, just give it to them. You don't have to worry about your quality control. But he's just doing this stupid stuff. I feel like at this point, he might as well just get fired, because it's like he's looking to get fired, which he clearly ain't. But if I was his boss, I would have gotten rid of him a long time ago. Just for him calling up the Punisher showrunner, I would have said, why didn't you go for the Daredevil Season 3 Punisher? If I can come up with the better decisions, then why do you even work here? Adam Grunther says, The Punisher was a good show, but it was a very different show from Daredevil. The Punisher made me fall asleep on episode 5, and that pissed me off. Because they put so much filler in it, and there was so much generic cop subplots in there. And that's one of the reasons I didn't like it. And I was really waiting for a Punisher show, like so much. And there was some good stuff in the show, for sure. But the pacing was completely off, the subplots were crap, and I thought they made the Punisher a bit of a bitch, honestly. They would just make... It's like, it almost felt like they got lost in the subplots that he was doing, where he was talking to his friend's wife and stuff. It's like they got lost in those subplots, to the point that the Punisher just didn't really feel like tortured Frank Castle anymore. He just felt like he was playing any other character in any other drama. So I really did not like that Punisher show. There was good stuff in it for sure, but I really did not like the stuff they did. Adam Grunther, you said a great point. The problem with the Marvel Netflix shows is that they had too many episodes. They always pick up at episode 7. That's true, but I felt like Daredevil Season 3 didn't. The first 2 episodes were probably the slowest, but then it was full on, like, moving the story forward. And even the first 2 episodes were moving the story forward as well, so, yeah. That's why I'm really protective over Daredevil, is because Daredevil, they didn't really fall into the problems that the other that the other Netflix shows did, and looks like it potentially can fall back into those problems because they hired the inferior writer. Batman's Gamer, $5 super chat. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat. Disney's making a Mufasa live-action movie. Look it up. Disney and Bob Iger is down for quantity over quality. Why? Lilo and Stitch live-action too. Yeah, they're going to do that live-action. The only thing I'll say about Mufasa is that it's an original movie, so it's not a remake. But why they're doing it in live-action, I don't know. They might as well have done it in animation again. I would have preferred to see that. But live-action, I don't want to see those emotionless faces again. I just don't want to. Spirit Hero says, hey Eric, did you know that Kevin Feige and the heads of Marvel fired Edward Norton because he wanted a darker tone for the Hulk? Yeah, it was legitimately for creative differences. He wanted a movie that, in his words, was as good as The Dark Knight. And Marvel didn't like the sound of that. They were like, no, we want to make our own crap. Adam Grunther says, Daredevil was the exception, but even Season 2 dragged at certain points. It did. I'm not saying it's perfect. Honestly, I thought the weakest link about the Daredevil shows was the Hand. Because it all culminated with the Defenders, which was just too low budget and was just too disappointing, quite frankly. So yeah, and when you go back to Daredevil Season 1 and 2 and they try to bring the whole Hand in, it doesn't hold up, because you know it's going to lead up to something that's not worth it. That's why Season 3 is so good, because they stripped it down and they just focused on Daredevil and the Kingpin and Bullseye and even Karen and Foggy, and gave them arcs too. Especially Karen. Who would have thought? They did such a phenomenal job. Punisher was amazing in Daredevil Season 2. Yes, he was the best in Daredevil Season 2, I think, as well. And he was very good in that first episode of The Punisher as well. I thought he was very good in that. Have not seen his show, says Oliver. Thank you, Eric, for the warning about the show. Yeah, you can definitely watch it because there are good stuff in it, but there's a lot of crap subplots in there that just drive it down, and The Punisher was too much filler that he didn't really feel like The Punisher in a lot of scenes, just so they could let the scenes pass by. Okay, and let's see. Movie Fan 2002, again with the super chats. As I say, I am so lucky to have such generous viewers like you guys. I mean, seriously, thank you very much. Movie Fan 2002 says, I agree, they should have done a prequel to the original Lion King rather than a remake. Heck, Lion King 1.5 had a lot more dignity than the upcoming Mufasa prequel. Yeah, that is true. I did like that movie as a kid, and there was some good stuff in there. I did enjoy that movie. It doesn't compare to the first one, of course. And even the second movie, I didn't like it that much because it definitely felt like a small Disney sequel. It needed to be more grand, and it needed to feel like there was more effort behind it because it felt a bit flat. Music felt a bit flat in the movie as well. But even that, I appreciated that they did another one of Shakespeare's stories in there. Like, you know, they went from Hamlet, and then they went to Romeo and Juliet with The Lion King 2, and that was a good idea. The movie itself was just average. I think I gave it a 5 out of 10, The Lion King 2. Jacob says, when were you introduced to the character of Daredevil? With the 2003 Ben Affleck movie. I always thought the character looked great on the posters, and I wanted to see it. And here in the UK, it was given a 15, which is basically an R rating. And I was like, wow, what is this adult superhero? And then we finally watched the movie. I didn't like it. As a kid, I was questioning the logic of it. And I'm too young to question the logic at that point, but I was still questioning it. It was just so bad. But then the Netflix show, I didn't like the first season as much at first, but it grew on me when I watched it the second time, even more. And season 3 was great. Let's see. Chaos Sonic, what is your opinion on the Pixar movie Soul? It was decent as a first watch, but I never feel the need to watch it again. Matthew says, do you like the actor they chose for Punisher? I do, but John Bernthal, his performance I feel like is not aging well because it's becoming too much of a meme. So I think he needs to really pull back when he comes back as the Punisher, because if he starts making those loud sounds again as he runs, like that whole thing he does, I swear, if he does that, I'm just going to be laughing. I don't care how dramatic the scene is, I'm just going to laugh. Everyone laughs at it at this point. It's a meme. So, yeah, he needs to kind of dial it down a bit, if you know what I mean. He did great in the Season 2 Daredevil show. It was his show where the memes really came out of. But I prefer Thomas Jane from the 2004 movie. He's my favourite Punisher. Thoughts on the Paddington movie, says Aritra. I've not seen the Paddington movie, so I don't know. Let's see. So, we're now at the Q&A session, seeing as you've all got your questions answered. So, since I've covered all the topics. And let's see. And as I mentioned before, if anyone joins my Patreon, I will credit them at the bottom right here. Here, let's put an S at the end of that. There we go. That's all topic. Yeah, that's the topics. The topics today were... I only did 2 topics today because I was working on the top 10 worst movies video. So I had time to prep 2, but I didn't have time to prep 3. And I'm also working on the Echo Let's Binge Watch video, and I need to get these out. So I only had time for 2 stories today, not 3. But don't worry, 3 is usually how much I intend to do. The Disney classic, Gregory, but the Del Toro one I thought was great. But yeah, I just don't have... Too Late, Batman's Gamer, I did bother with it. Me and my brother both watched it. It was not good. Echo we're talking about. But yeah, but I will go back to doing 3 stories, basically, every single time. So, any questions you guys want to ask? Now is the time. Score for Del Toro's Pinocchio. I can't remember. Did I give it an 8 or a low 9? I genuinely can't remember. But I do want to see the movie again, so hopefully I'll have my score in my head then. Marvel Cinematic Disaster. What do you think of Topher Grace's Venom? I liked it. It was annoying that we didn't get to see more of it. I really did want to see more of it. Darksaber. Kingpin was a good character in the Echo one. He wasn't as bad as he was in Echo. Sorry, he wasn't as bad as he was in the Hawkeye show, where they gave him a weird Hawaiian shirt, which is stuff that the Kingpin would never wear. Just goes to show the lack of attention to detail with the MCU. Just give him something very colorful, and there you go. You know, it's like we got to make him more colorful, even at the expense of character development. But yeah, it makes no sense in the grand scheme of things in Echo. The Punisher is supposed to be super strong and have super strength. Yet, if you see the way he gets taken out in the Echo show, it's ridiculous. He got ran over by a car in Hawkeye, and he still survived. I didn't have a scratch on him. He can survive getting shot in the eye. This is so dumb. It's like they've not planned it out. It didn't feel like they made him super strong in the MCU, in the Echo show, even though they established him as being very strong. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. There was, like I said, there's no thought put into that Echo show. There really wasn't. Jess says, Batman's Gamer says convenience. Yep, very much so. Jess says, Eric, my favourite part was when Daredevil said, "This is my city, my family," in the Netflix series. Yeah, that was in the first season when he beat the crap out of Kingpin in the final battle. They were both so good in that show. I'll just say this, I don't think Kingpin compares in this to what he was in the Netflix Daredevil show. He did some evil things, and they tried to make him more similar to his Netflix counterpart, which is good. But in terms of what he's actually done and what his utilization was, he wasn't in it much. And what he did wasn't anywhere near as hardcore as it was in Daredevil. And once he had done what he had done, I was looking at it, I was like, well, why is he coming after Maya? I'm not really convinced as to why he's coming after Echo. Yeah. Tease with East says, "Hey Eric, can or will you make animated show versus videos like Justice League Unlimited versus Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, or Spectacular Spider-Man versus 90s Spider-Man, or any other animated TV show versus video?" That sounds fun and cool, but it would take a long time. TV shows, you gotta watch both TV shows. And I grew up watching the Spider-Man animated series, didn't grow up watching Marvel's The Avengers, so it means I would have to watch it again, watch it for the first time. I think my younger brother, when he was little, I think he used to watch the Avengers show. Jess says, Eric, Shah Rukh Khan Bollywood songs and dances are way better than the crap from the Eternals. I know, I agree. I said that in my Eternals review. Did you hear that Ryan Gosling is in talks to play Nova in the MCU? I heard that he wanted to play Ghost Rider, apparently. Looks like he's not getting that. Who cares about Nova? I'm sick and tired of hearing about all these new, like, lower level MCU characters. There was a time where Marvel would do it and they would, like, bring them up a level. But now it's like, you hear of a low level MCU, a low level Marvel character, and they remain a low level Marvel character when they come to the MCU. Marvel is not doing a good job enough with them where it feels like you want to see more. Clearly the quality is not there anymore. Batman's Gamer says, I heard about Gosling is going to play Sentry. Yeah, so that's what he's taking over from Stephen Yeun. Again, I don't trust Marvel will go far enough because Sentry is supposed to be a darker character, and they're not going to do that. Hey, Jess says, Eric, take over the MCU and make it dark like DC. You don't need to make it dark like DC. You just need to give it some dignity, is what I usually say. Is that, you know, don't joke every time. Although Marvel have overplayed that jokey card so much that at this point I don't want to see no more jokes in the MCU. Humor you can do. A lot of movies do humor, but no more jokes. I'm done with that. Anytime I see a joke, I'm going to harshly criticize them. Except if you're Deadpool 3, because Deadpool has to be funny. But if you start making Wolverine crack jokes like Deadpool, then that will be goofy and crap. So you got to make him do it in his own way and not joke all the time. That would just be silly. Gregory says, please answer G-Gamer's question. What is G-Gamer asking? The G-Gamer. Oh. How would you rank the 3 2010 original Pixar movies that people loved? Inside Out, Soul, and Coco. I would say Coco, Inside Out, and Soul. I really did like Coco, and I do want to see it again at some point. Coco was a shocking surprise to me. Well, I can't remember if it had me near tears or actually gave me tears, but I loved Coco. That was so good. An example of how Disney and Pixar are supposed to take you by surprise with their movies. Adam Grunther has given a $5 super chat. Thank you very, very much. Have you seen, or do you have any interest in watching Has Been Hotel? It's genuinely incredible animation and some of the best songs I've heard in years. You guys know how I'm not really much into songs, don't you, Adam? Pop songs and all that. So I wonder if you're telling me that it's got great songs and stuff, will this be something I like? Actually, I've just googled it. I have heard of this. It's on Amazon Prime, isn't it? Because I think I've scrolled through an Amazon Prime or something, or a streaming service, and it's popped up. It's a mature show, apparently. Started January 19. I've heard of it, I've not seen it. But it is getting some high scores on IMDb. What makes it so good? I'm curious. Or the episodes are not all out yet. Let's see. Arathorn says, what are your thoughts on the new Wolverine mask design for Hugh Jackman? They're kind of exactly what I thought they would be. I don't know why people are so surprised by that mask design. I'm like, that looks like the mask from the comics. That's kind of what I expected them to do. Although I would have liked it if it was that metal looking one that we saw at the deleted, was it the deleted final scene of the Wolverine? That looked a lot better to me. Someone's done another $1 super chat on Streamlabs. Let's see. Yucko the Volcanic Muto. Hey Eric, happy Sunday. I hope you're doing well. Thank you very much. I'm doing very well, especially knowing that you've dropped into the live stream. And thank you for the super chat, Adam Grunther, and thank you for the Streamlabs chat, Yucko. Adam Grunther says, amazing animation, characters, voice acting, comedy, drama, and songs. Has Been is also important because it was from a creator on YouTube that exploded in popularity from his pilot. Oh, that's very interesting. Oh, well, good for that guy. Or girl. Comic Book King says, Kingpin had a Hawaiian shirt in the comics. I don't care. The Netflix show went into such detail of the Kingpin's routine, including showing the clothes that he would wear. He would always wear very plain clothes, and he would always dress very smartly. To wear the Hawaiian shirt, it's not something he would wear. He would just turn his nose at it. Oh, okay, Adam Grunther. This is where I don't like what I'm hearing. It is one of the raunchiest shows you'll ever see. I've seen a lot of raunchy shows. We've seen The Boys, Gen V. What was the other one? Peacemaker. I've seen a lot of raunchy stuff lately. Another one, and this is one of the most raunchiest things that you've seen compared to that, I'm assuming. Comic Book King says, did you ever have Disney XD in the UK, Eric? Occasionally. Yeah, I think you had to pay for higher levels of cable to get it, but I never cared about really the Disney Channel. She's a girl, Adam Grunther. Okay, that's I'm glad I said or girl in that case. Yeah, but no, Cartoon Network was the channel I used to love as a kid, and I always wanted Toonami and CNX, what it was called before Toonami. I was always sad I could never get that channel. So I'm trying to watch that stuff now, Megas XLR and stuff like that, which is a show that I wanted to see and stuff. I'm trying to watch those now. Adam Grunther says, it takes place in hell, so the raunchy tone makes sense. It makes sense, yeah. I guess that does make sense. But when you say it's the raunchiest things, one of the raunchiest things you'll see, it makes me think, it's like, wow, does it need to be like that raunchy? And I've seen some raunchy stuff. I don't know if I want to see raunchier than the things I've seen. What was the other question someone was asking me? The Dark Lord says, no, Kingpin would burn it without a second thought. Yeah, he would. Rohan, I'm not ignoring, it's just a lot of questions coming in. It's hard to keep track. Selena says, have you heard that David Sandberg is directing a movie called Until Dawn? It is based on a video game that is kind of the Telltale games. Yeah, I heard that. I'm very excited to see what he does with that. It's horror and it's a bigger scale movie. He can do both of those. So I'm curious to see how he can do that with horror. I trust him. I do. James Wan and David Sandberg are the two horror directors I trust. Adam Grunther says, though if you don't like raunchy shows or musicals, it probably isn't for you. There's 2 songs per episode, even though the songs are all incredible. Yeah, I'm not... There can be good songs, but I'm not into songs when they do songs for the sake of songs. The song normally has to mean something or just magically fit with the scene in order for me to like it. Like, for example, the opening scene in the first Shrek, when the All Stars song played when Shrek, with Shrek's whole introduction. That was a great song that played. Shrek 2 had a great song that played in the opening too that fit. It was a love song playing when it was supposed to be showing their love song. The songs fit in Shrek, and I was like, yeah, I like those a lot. So if they fit, then yeah. If they don't, then no. And if they're just being done just to be done, I don't like that. Alec Barton says, what are your thoughts on the Halo show? I'm going to be honest, I've never played a Halo game. I wanted to when I was younger, but when I got older, I moved on to other things. And when I was younger, I played a game called Unreal Tournament 1999, which is my favorite game of all time. So that was my first-person shooter that I would play. I saw a bit of the show. Production value of Season 1 was good with the first episode. I think I watched a bit of Episode 2, then I just stopped, and I was like, yeah, this is boring. And I hear that it's not getting any better. Adam Grunther says, they fit naturally. It's like an R-rated Disney Renaissance project. Okay, that's interesting. Now, Rohan, where's your question that you're saying I'm not answering? What if Disney owned DC? What would be your thoughts on this? I would not be happy, because Disney have got no balls. They would just wussify the DC characters, and I don't want that to happen, especially when part of those characters are Batman and his villains. You can't just go around doing that. Sad Blue Robot. Since Kang was not a good villain, who's better, Kang or frickin' Muzan? Are you talking about Who's Muzan or Muzan? This almost reads like Mozon Kaputsuji, if you've watched Demon Slayer Season 3. Oh, you are talking about Mozon Kaputsuji. Oh. Well, Mozon Kaputsuji, of course, is the much better villain. He's freaky. I'm scared to see what will happen when our characters have to fight him, because he can just flick a finger and just like get one of his demons into like just like in a really cut up state. So yeah. Jess says, Eric, how would you react if Joss Whedon was taking over the MCU by putting more jokes and humor in it? He kind of already did that. It was his first Avengers movie that really made Marvel think, let's do more comedy. And, they even did more comedy in Age of Ultron, which is what Joss Whedon did. And Joss Whedon really didn't make the MCU... He really made the MCU do that much crazy comedy. That was on him, I think. Got another super chat from Adam Grunther. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat. Last question before I head out. Oh, that's a shame. I'll miss having you on the stream. How would you rank the 4 main PS4 Spider-Man villains? Doc Ock, Mr. Negative, Kraven, and Venom. I'm still writing the villain segment, so I haven't broken it down for myself yet. But if I had, I would say... Doc Ock... Doc Ock is a toss-up, this next two. Like I said, I still need to write this and figure this out. But Doc Ock, Venom, Kraven, Mr. Negative. That's what I would do. But thanks for the super chat. And I really enjoyed having you on the stream, Adam Grunther. So thank you very much for joining it. Selena says, this is just a rumor, but have you heard here that Hayden Christensen is going to play Shadow in Sonic 3? Just a rumor, but what do you think of that? That's very interesting. I don't really know what to think of that. I wonder what voice he would do. Be very interesting, though, just to see him in something else that's not Star Wars related. Because I've only seen him in one other movie that's not Star Wars related. The rest I've not really seen him in. I've not seen him in. Comic Book King says, what does the word raunchy mean? Raunchy means very... edgy, like sexual, and normally it means sexual. Raunchy means refers to when I've heard people use that word. Got another super chat on Streamlabs, and it's a $2. $2 super chat. Streamlabs chat. Let's see. What am I being asked? Eric Carter versus video opening. Yako was a movie that came out in May 2023, and now we have two more movies: Yako 2 Cataclysm and Yako 3 The Final Battle. How will each movie of the volcanic Muto stack up against each other? Let the battle commence. I would say it differently. I know to some people it might seem like that's what I would say, but no, I would say it differently. Adam Grunter says, "Thanks, man. I enjoy coming to these. Wish I wasn't busy with work, but have a great rest of the stream. I certainly will, and I'm glad that you were able to come to the stream even though you got work. So thank you very much. I appreciate it, buddy. And thank you very much, Yako, for another super chat, a $2 super chat. Thank you very much for that. Movie Fan 2002, you guys are just too much. You guys are too nice to me. You are. $5 super chat. What movie never fails to make you cry every time you revisit it? Ooh, that is a good question. Which movie never fails to make me cry? It depends what mood I'm in when I'm watching it. So it's like sometimes I'll be really invested, other times I'll be watching it, but I will not be invested. I'll just be partly doing something else. But the movie that's always kind of depressing, it doesn't really make me cry, but it's always depressing, is Titanic. You know, the ending with that. When Jack dies, that was kind of... The music, the pacing, everything of it. The acting from Kate Winslet, where she sounds really cold and everything. Such good performance. That always kind of makes just a depressing scene. Oh, what movie does make me cry like whenever I see it? It's not really a movie, but I'll say it's a show. It's when Zuko reunites with his uncle in season 3. First time I saw that, I was like... I had to hold back tears so hard and they still came out. So if I'm watching the whole show from beginning to end and I get to that part, yeah, man, that really gets me. That's such a beautiful scene. My whole family stayed completely quiet when that scene came on because it was so sad. But such a happy scene as well. Jess says, Kevin Conroy and Heath Ledger are now best friends in the afterlife for being the best comic book hero and villains of all time. Yeah, maybe. Marvel Cinematic Disaster says, I got a great question. What if Zack Snyder directed the first Avengers movie? I don't want to see that. I would like it if someone else directed the first Avengers movie, but not Zack Snyder. Got another $1 Streamlabs chat. Man, you guys are really very generous with the chat, with the donations today. Thank you very, very much. Yako, the volcanic Muto. Yeah, I would have written it differently. It's just that there's a character limit on Streamlabs. Lol. Oh, is there? And it's not meant to be... Well, I think there's a character limit on the super chats as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, but... And it's not meant to be serious. I just always wanted to write something similar to what you would usually say, just for fun, you know? Yeah, and you got me to say it too, so... Yeah, no, you've definitely... I can totally see what you did. Yeah, I would do the same thing to my favorite content creator too. Jacinda says, why would you not want to see Zack Snyder do the first Avengers movie? It's just not his match. The Avengers are not meant to be what he turns his characters into, so that's why I wouldn't want him to do it. I don't fully approve of what Joss Whedon did with them either. That's why I want someone else, like say the Russo brothers, because they did a phenomenal job. Matthew says, would you ever do a Transformers versus video? I don't know, maybe. But there's a lot of movies that are all very similar, so it's like, which ones do I compare? Batman's Gamer says, where's Jake? He'd be doing $200 super chats. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen Jake for quite a bit. Last time we saw him on the stream, was it 2 weeks ago or something? And he was at a hotel or something. But yeah. Yeah, I always enjoy having all of you guys around, not just for the super chats. They always help, but those are not the reasons I do these live streams, just so I can communicate with all of you guys, because I love doing it. But yeah, that's what I've also told Jake, that if he's going to do it with the Streamlabs one, because YouTube do take bigger cuts from him when he does his bigger donations. So that's why bigger donations should always be done with Streamlabs, then they take no cut. Hey Eric, I'm here. I might not stay for long, but blood went well. And will you Rise of Planet of the Apes versus do a Rise of Planet of the Apes versus video? We'll see. But we'll see what happens when the new Ape movie comes out. And didn't you already have your blood test? Last week you told us? I thought it was over. But if it wasn't, well done. You seemed afraid of it, but the fact that you went through with it anyway, very good. Very, very good. Cole, I'm so sorry for not answering this question. It's because I don't really know the answer. What are your top 4 Batman movies? Well, The Dark Knight is number 1. Probably Batman Begins number 2. The Batman number 3. Then The Dark Knight Rises number 4. That's how I would do it. What's your favourite and least favourite Spider-Man film? Nate, I don't want to talk about that because I haven't written a script for it yet, but I do want to discuss that movie at some point. But I can't talk about it right now for that reason. I have plans in the future at some point. Not yet, because I'm busy doing these other videos that I got to do. But I do plan on talking about that, so don't worry, at some point. Jacinda, have seen Luther TV show with Idris Elba. Did you like it? I've not seen it, unfortunately, but I hear good things about it. Movie Fan 2002, again with another super chat. A $5 super chat this time. Thank you very, very much. And he says, 1 month before Netflix Avatar. Can't wait to see numerous videos of the animated characters reacting to them. Yeah, me neither. I'm curious. But I don't think it's going to be worth it, you know? Remember, this is going to be just a live action telling. You got the emotion and everything and the connection with the characters in the animated version. Seeing them in live action is going to be a novelty, but it's not going to be necessary. And also the original creators left it, remember, because they were unhappy with how Netflix was treating them. And not letting them have creative control the way they wanted to, and they were not pleased with how Netflix were telling the story, so they left. So yeah, that's something to definitely take caution with. Let's see, Velka. Who do you think should voice Carnage in Spider-Man 2 DLC? My top choices are Mark Hamill because of Joker, and Ozai, and Robert Englund because of Freddy Krueger. Robert Englund would be sounds like a very good idea. So yeah, I'd pick him. Yeah, Govinish, I've heard that too, that Hayden Christensen is rumored to be voicing Shadow. I even answered that question recently. That's good. I don't know if I'm excited for it. I need to see what he can do as a voice actor. It would certainly be interesting. Arathorn says, have you seen the Todd Garner images of props from the set of Mortal Kombat 2? I haven't. Jess says, Scooby-Doo or Velma 2023? Well, which Scooby-Doo are you referring to? One of the shows or the first movie? But whatever you put in that first category, I'll say that first thing. Velma is obviously going to be the worst one. Jacinda says, are you excited for Creatures Commandos? No, I'm not excited whatsoever, but I am curious. Sim Does Art and Review says, have you watched Boy and the Heron? It's the latest movie by Studio Ghibli. I'm going to be honest with you, I've not seen any movie from Studio Ghibli. I have been intending to for such a long time, but I've not got round to it. And I always end up watching anime shows instead. But yeah, me and my brother, we both want to watch some Studio Ghibli stuff, but we just ain't got round to it. Jacob says, favourite and least favourite Spider-Man movie. My favourite Spider-Man movie is Spider-Man 1, that Sam Raimi did. And my least favourite Spider-Man movie is Spider-Man Homecoming. Movie Fan 2002, another super chat. I gotta start a third column now on my notes here. Let's see. It's a $2 super chat. What is your favourite X-Men movie outside of Logan? That's an easy one. X-Men Days of Future Past. I love X-Men Days of Future Past. At the beginning for me, it was kind of a toss-up between the two, Days of Future Past and Logan, because Days of Future Past came out before Logan, and it was my favorite X-Men movie. But now I say is Logan, usually. What is your favorite PS5 game, says the Logman. Well, I've only played one PS5 game, and that is Spider-Man 2 for PS5, so I'd say that. Rohan says, how to drink Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy. You mean, how would I rate Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy? You put drink there. I would rate it The Dark Knight, Batman Begins, and The Dark Knight Rises. Rohan, slow down when you're writing your questions. You got them wrong twice in a row. Paul Durst says, please answer my question. What question have you asked? Let's see. Paul. I'm not seeing you on here, Paul. Ask your question again and I'll answer it. Jess says, will you do a versus video between The Boys and Invincible? I haven't thought about it. I've got others to do right now, so I don't think so. Grimace says, what are your top 4 comic book movies? The Dark Knight, Batman Begins, Logan, and the Batman, I think. Or I'll reverse the other two, the final two. I've not thought about that, so that was literally on the spot. Doesn't mean it will stick that way. I think if I think about it, I might change. Cole Banal says, do you blame James Mangold for Dial of Destiny? No, I don't. I blame Kathleen Kennedy. Matthew says, have you seen the Uncharted movie? No, I haven't. I don't ever care to either. It was a stupid idea casting Tom Holland as Nathan Drake. That was so bloody stupid. My parents watched it, though, because they wanted to watch the movie. They hadn't seen the game. And I was warning them not to. It seems so dumb. And they were like, yeah, but we've not seen the game, so for us, we'll just watch the movie. I think they watched about a half hour of it, 40 minutes, and they stopped. They said it was just boring, it felt generic, and they said that it just didn't really feel like it worked, Tom Holland playing this character, because it felt like they liked Mark Wahlberg, which they've not liked him in too many movies that they've seen him in, so that was a plus for him, but they said that they just weren't really invested on the journey they had to go through, and I said that's because they got Tom Holland. He's not someone that fits this role. Jess says Tom Cruise would have been great for Nathan Drake. I don't think he would have at all. He would have also been miscast. A great person for Nathan Drake would have been Nathan Fillion. And if not Nathan Fillion, then it would have been, what was his name? I just said it, Mark Wahlberg. And if not Mark Wahlberg, then, there's Troy Baker and the other actor. They both play Joel and they both do voices. They're very good at voices. Nolan North could have played him, because he voices him in the game, and I think he looks good enough. Put the voice on him, it would work. It would be pretty cool. So yeah. But the character was kind of modeled after Nathan Fillion, so he did a small fan film. They should have made the movie based on that. It is Iron Drake, just like Iron Drake Jr., Jess. It really is like that. I don't mind Tom Holland playing a young Nathan Drake, but to say, no, this is older Nathan Drake, it was so bloody stupid. Rohan says, Eric, are you DC fan and the fan of Batman? Yes, I'm a huge fan of Batman. He's my #1 favorite character in anything. Are you going to play GTA 6 when it comes out? No, I haven't even played GTA 5. GTA, I don't know, the game... GTA to me very much feels more like a HBO show in terms of its storytelling and stuff, but I liked Sleeping Dogs a lot, which is more like a cinematic movie. So if it was something more like that, I would be into it, but there's just so much stuff to do in GTA that it feels overwhelming. So I played Liberty City Stories on the PSP. I think I tried GTA 5 on the PS4, and then that was basically it. I don't really feel the need to play through the story, but who knows, maybe on the Steam Deck one day I will. You're tearing me apart said, sorry for missing the last live stream. Yeah, don't worry about it. You caught up on this one, haven't you? Governish says, have you watched the Ted series? I haven't, but I've heard of it, but I've not seen it. That's another thing I don't like about GTA 6, by the way. I don't like the combat. They should finally have worked on the combat instead of just doing... It's just so crap. And you can't really jump over stuff either. The jumping is crap. And the physics feel a bit floaty at times. And I would have liked if there's a bit more of a punch to stuff and everything didn't feel like it was just floating as much. But yeah, that's just one critique, one of my critiques. Rohan says, have you heard of the rumours that Sony are making an R-rated Spider-Man movie, the animated version? No, I've not heard of those rumours. Yeah, yeah, you're right, Governish. Those NPC punches. Also, some punching the NPCs in Liberty City Stories, you'd punch them or stab them or hit them or shoot them, and they would just start running away at like super fast speed, far faster than your character can run. And that's after you've injured them. It's so bizarre in those old games. I don't know if they do it with the new ones. And it was annoying how the cops come after you so quickly, and you can't do cheat codes on the spot anymore. You have to go pick up your phone. At least in GTA 4 you did. I don't know if you have to do that in 5. And put your cheat codes in then, but if the cops are shooting you, you can't get rid of them, stop them from chasing you. So yeah, I think that Grand Theft Auto is kind of just... They've not made their free roam as fun as it used to be with, say, Liberty City Stories, where you could just do cheat codes on the spot so quickly. Like blowing up all the cars or bringing down the cops chasing you level down by a couple pegs. Marvel Cinematic Disaster, I feel like I've already answered this question from you in a previous live stream. What you say about Eddie Brock. But the thing is, the symbiote always needs a host, though. That's the thing. So that makes no sense if that actually happened. Arathon, I think that Scream 3 plot with Stu was actually a good idea at some point, but at the same time, I think I like knowing he died. Otherwise, the question is, where has he been all this time? So yeah, I think it's a good idea, but at the same time, not a good idea. But I would have trusted Wes Craven to pull it off. Have you heard or played Hello Neighbor? I've heard of it, never played it. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to sign off in, well, we'll say 2 hours, so 20 minutes. We've been streaming for an hour and 41 minutes so far, so 20 minutes more we'll stream for, and then I need to leave. What do you think of Moana? My school is doing Moana Junior. I've not even seen the Moana movie, not yet at least. Any other questions you guys have, or anything? Matthew says, what are my thoughts on the Five Nights at Freddy movie? You'll find out soon. Sim Does Art and Reviews says, any controversial picks for top 10 worst movies for 2023? Yeah, I'm sure I've got a few in there. One in particular. Jess says to read his comment on Transformers. Michael DeSanta or Nico Bellish? Is that what your comment was on Transformers? Post it for me again, because I cannot see which one you're talking about. Got a $5 super chat from Movie Fan. You are really outdoing yourself this live stream. I always say that these super chats really do help me a great deal, and you have donated. You've just donated so much, so thank you very much, Movie Fan. Really, I really appreciate it. What are your thoughts on Gravity Falls? I watched the first couple episodes, I think, a long time ago, and then I never followed up on it. But I thought the animation and stuff was cool, but I think at the time I was coming off of Avatar: The Last Airbender, so I wanted something more story-based. And I didn't really want something that was less so, if you know what I mean. So I was looking more for something in that direction, then I ended up watching Legend of Korra. So yeah, I didn't stick with Gravity Falls because of that. But I've heard a lot of great things about it. Jess, post your comment again. I don't want to have to scroll up. There's so many, it's easy to miss it. So just post it again. Because I answered your question about... Actually, that was someone else's question I asked. Yeah, I am doing my top 10 worst movies of 2023. Like I said, I was literally editing it before I got to the... Yeah, before I did this live stream. But then I had to stop. Movie Fan 2002 says Gravity Falls is actually story driven as it keeps going. Oh, that's interesting. But I didn't want something story driven as it kept going. I wanted something story driven from the very beginning. And Korra kind of it was that for me at the time. So it depends what mood you're in. And I was really in the mood for more Avatar, so to go to Gravity Falls wasn't in the cards for me at the time. I tried, but I was like, I need something more similar. Spirit Hero says, answer my question, please. What is your question? I keep saying, if you want me to answer your question, the super chats are there for that, because it not only does it support the channel, but it helps me see and filter through this list, because it's hard to catch up. There's so many names here. I can't see your question here, Spirit Hero. Yeah, you're going to have to post it again because I can't see it. Alright, Jess, I'm assuming this is the question you wanted. Eric, Chris Hemsworth will be a great choice for young Optimus Prime because Peter Cullen will sound too old for a young Optimus Prime in Transformers 1. Thing is, does the Transformers voices change as they get older? It's like they're robots. And, you know, I feel like even if he's younger, you'll still hear that voice. All they have to do is just try to soften it, which I'm sure they can do in editing. So I don't think that's personally an excuse that I buy, to be perfectly honest with you. Movie Fan 2002 says, what are your thoughts on The Legend of Korra? I like the show, but I didn't like Korra when she was mistreating Tenzin in Season 2. Even when she apologized, I was like, it doesn't matter. As a teenager myself, I would never go as far as you did. And I didn't like her after that. I found the rest of the characters more interesting than Korra, to be honest. The final season, when she and Asami become a couple, I was like, where did that come from? A lot of people were saying at the time, where did that come from? Makes no sense. Honestly, it would make about as much sense if at the end of Avatar: The Last Airbender, Aang and Sokka hooked up. It just made no sense to me, really, it didn't. And I don't like how they had Mako date both Korra and Asami and where that went. It's like when you watch the show from the beginning, like I have been recently. I watched season 1 and 2, and then I've taken like about 2-3 month break before watching season 3, which I need to see season 3. Seeing him date the two again, it just feels very odd watching it the second time. So they really should have worked those relationships out much better. George Phillips says, have you played Ghost of Tsushima? Yeah, I've actually got it in my PS4, you know, if behind there somewhere you'll see it. I've actually got the game, but I never completed it, unfortunately. I didn't even get too far in because there's a lot of tiny missions before you get to the big ones, and I don't like games that do that, so it was hard for me to go through, and I was busy with work a lot of the time. So yeah. Sibtane, my worst movies list is coming, don't worry. I was working on it and editing it before doing the stream. The Raid 1 and 2 and the Night Comes For Us are better versions of Mortal Kombat. Yeah, I know. I think I said that as well in one of my videos. Matthew says, did you ever watch The Slender Man? Yes, I did. I did a video on it as well called Fake IMDb Reviews. Check that out. I'm actually very proud of that video, and I give my thoughts on the movie because I did watch the movie, I think, in preparation for that video. And I did discuss my thoughts on it there. And I use the Slender Man music in the background. It's cool. Eric, will you ever watch Attack on Titan? I highly recommend that the show. Highly recommend that the show has ended now. Oh, it's ended now. Oh, good, because I heard that the show was taking years to give us a new season. So that's good. If it's ended, I'll give it a watch at some point. I did watch the 2 movies though. They weren't really that good. The live action movies. George Phillips says, did you watch Enola Holmes? Yes, I did, and I reviewed Enola Holmes on my channel as well. An in-depth review of it, so check that out. I haven't seen the second movie yet, though. I wanted to, but I still haven't seen it. Okay, we've got about just 12 minutes left of the stream. MovieFan2002 says, honestly, Korra and Asami getting together is not as bad as the constant shipping of Zuko and Katara. Is that a constant shipping thing? Because I've heard some people make mention of it, but I didn't know it was a constant shipping thing. But yeah, no, that makes no sense either. The show had the good foresight not to make that happen, though. They stuck with Katara and Aang, which has led to, I think, a much better sort of like continuation of the lore, in my opinion. Rowan says, here is my top movies. Hunger Games, TMNT, Mutant Mayhem, Godzilla -1, and Oppenheimer. That's great. Great choices. Musical or normal Matilda? The normal Matilda, by far, without a shadow of a doubt. I don't know if you guys can hear, but it's so windy outside. Why did you not continue fake reviews? I thought that the video was pretty good. It was pretty good. It's just tricky to kind of edit, believe it or not. Whenever you create a new show, and I haven't cancelled that show, I do intend to do more of it. I was going to do it with Velma originally, but that never materialized. And I even got some of the reviews out, you know, took screen captures of some of the fake reviews. But whenever you create a new show, like my Versus videos or my Let's Binge Watch, the first video is always the hardest, because you're figuring out the style, you're trying to figure out what makes it different from the others, and you never get quite used to it until you make several of them. And for me, balancing my Versus videos and all these other videos that I'm doing, and now my Patreon and stuff, with Let's Watch is very hard to do. So that's why it never really quite materialized. I need to try to find a way of getting that to work. So continue giving me suggestions of what movies I can do that with, you know, especially newer movies where fake reviews really tend to come out. By all means, let me know when that happens and I'll consider doing another. Slim Does Art says, has any horror movies given you the sense of the uncanny valley? Yeah, I'm sure they have, but I can't think of them right now. Quite frankly, I think more movies that have given me the uncanny valley are blockbusters, because they have bad special effects. So Eternals gave me the uncanny valley quite a lot, because you could tell when they were using CGI models of the characters. George Phillips says, do you agree that 2024 is looking bad for superhero movies? Not really, because we're getting Deadpool 3, then we're going to get Joker later this year. I don't know if we're going to get another, but I do know we're also going to get several of the Sony spin-off movies. So this is the year for Sony spin-off movies. We got Madam Web, we got Craven, I think we got another one in this year too. So yeah, Sony are kind of like leading the charge this year, which is not a good thing. We're also going to get the Penguin show this year though, which I'm super excited for. George Phillips says, watch them all flop. Well, certainly with the Sony movies. Yeah, Selena, you got it right. Yeah, Venom 3 is coming out this year, and that's also going to flop, most likely. I'm assuming so, at least. I think people have got, you know, better judgment now that they've seen 2 Venom movies, second one being crap, and then first one I didn't like either. And then having the others like Morbius suck and all that stuff, so I'm sure people have better judgment now. Sim Does Art and Reviews. Have you ever watched any online analog horror series on YouTube? I recommend watching the Mandela Catalog. No, I don't think I have. Spirit Hero says, have you seen The House on Netflix? No, I haven't. George Phillips says, I watched 20 minutes of Venom and turned it off. Which Venom? The first one or the second one? The second one, my parents turned off about half. Was it halfway through or was it less? I think it was half an hour through. They turned it off because it was just giving them a headache. And I agree, it was giving me a headache too. The first one, George, okay, that's understandable, but then don't even bother watching the second one. That one's really gonna piss you off. It's just a headache. And the movie thinks it's being funny when it's not. Rohan says, have you seen the Scott Pilgrim anime show? No, I haven't, but I have heard it's got a very similar twist in that at the beginning to what the Masters of the Universe show had when it was on Netflix. Lindsay Curtis, ever seen the recent Netflix movie called Lift? No, I haven't, but my parents have. They thought it was nothing special. Eric, are you from London or Scotland in the UK? I'm from neither. George Phillips, have you seen that Scream Legacy fanfic on YouTube? No, I still haven't. I've heard people say great things about it, though. I think I did skip through a bit of it, but that was it. We got 6 minutes left of the stream, so any more questions, any more super chats, whatever, get them done in these last 6 minutes. Jess, I don't want to give that information. I don't like putting my location out there, so I don't want to narrow it down. I'll just say the UK. Spirit Hero, my dad watched the first 10 minutes of Ant-Man 3 in the plane, then switched to another movie. That's funny. George Phillips says, are there any, like, Advent films coming this year? I don't know. That's alright, Jess. That's okay. Don't worry about it. I don't know any Advent films coming out this year. I'm not sure. That's alright, Jess. You're okay. That's alright. Have you ever seen Shameless? I've heard of it, never seen it. I was very young when it came out, I think. Event. Okay. I think as far as event films go, Joker 2 will probably be one, is what I think. What are your thoughts on Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania? What is your score on the movie? My thoughts are... I did a couple of videos on Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania. I did... was it a couple or was it just one? I think it was just one. Soon to be two. Yeah, I did a video talking about Kang as the villain. How bad he was, and I thought the rest of the movie was just crap. Matthew says, have you ever thought of doing original Candyman versus Candyman 2021? I did when Candyman 2021 was coming out, but then I didn't do it. Oh, excuse me. My nose is getting blocked up in the middle of the stream, like out of nowhere, and I don't know why, and now more sneezings are coming. I hope I don't catch something. My brother caught something recently. I hope I don't catch something. That will really slow down the videos. Or it will just make me... try to record them when I'm not well, and I have done that in the past. It's not easy to make it seem to do it in a way where you guys don't notice. It takes a lot more energy out. Caleb says, I recommend One Piece anime, but there's a lot, isn't there, of One Piece. So if I watch anything to do with One Piece, I think it would be the Netflix show, but I'm not watching the Netflix show either. Not right now, at least. Shireen says, any thoughts on Deadpool 3 promotional art you see? You see Hugh Jackman Wolverine comic accurate helmet. That's great, but like I said, I want it to be the metal helmet that we got in the Wolverine Wolverine deleted scene for the 2013 Wolverine movie where it was metal. That looked so much better. Yako, the Volcanic Muto, has done another $1 Streamlabs chat. Thank you very much, buddy. That is your question is, hey Eric, what is your least favorite movie of all time? I'm very curious. By the way, the Yako trilogy is actually true. It's just reworked now, and I edited the first Yako movie to be 35 minutes. Oh, that's good, because I did say it needed to be shorter. Favorite movie of all time. Least favorite movie of all time. I've said it's Cars, because I had a very bad memory. Matthew just said it straight out. Yeah. I had a very bad memory experience of watching that in the theater with my dad. I really wanted to see it. We finally went to go see it, and I was bored shitless. That movie taught me, just because a movie says produced by the guy that made The Incredibles, doesn't mean it's going to be as good as The Incredibles. That taught me a very valuable lesson, that produced by doesn't mean jack diddly squat. Arathorn says, favourite Mortal Kombat game? Mortal Kombat XL. is fantastic, because I love playing as Kenshi in that. My brother loves playing as Texas Chainsaw Leatherface. Lindsay Curtis, original Candyman was always perfect for me. Also, hope you feel better soon, Eric. Best wishes. Yeah, I'm not feeling unwell, but I feel like this could be an early sign. I hope it's not. Oh, you're back, Batman's Gamer. That's good. The stream's going to end in a couple of minutes, but yeah. Spirit Hero says he's going to head out now. Alright, thanks, buddy. Take care. Let's see, how many of you are watching now? Still a good amount of you. Yeah, so like I said, any burning questions you want to ask me, any super chats, any Streamlabs super chats, whatever, they can be done in the last 2 minutes, because then I'm heading out. I haven't eaten yet, and it's 8:35 p.m, so I gotta go eat as well. Normally when I end these streams it's about 9:30, so this is gonna be me eating earlier, so that's cool. But yeah, I also watched A Haunting in Venice recently. 2 days ago I watched A Haunting in Venice, and yesterday I saw The Creator. Matthew says, did you ever play the whole Telltale Walking Dead series? No, I did the whole season 1 with Lee and that little girl Clementine. That was heartbreaking. That almost, I think that did get a single tear out of me. That did. You know, the sexy cry when one tear comes out at the very end. That was sad. That was so good, that game. It was a bit tricky to find what you're supposed to click on, though. I think the Batman Telltales games did a better job of that, in my opinion. It's a shame they're not continuing, because they ended on such an interesting place. Rohan says, what are your thoughts on Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 and 1, and what's the score on both of those movies? I don't know what the score is, because I haven't seen them in years, but I liked them, but I thought they could have done a much better job with the runtime they were given, and they could have adapted the material better, and the second movie should have been 2.5 to 3 hours long. 2 hours was bloody ridiculous. They missed out on a lot of stuff in that two-parter that they could have included. And they added some pointless stuff too, like Harry and Hermione dancing. So weird. I mean, you're on the clock with these Harry Potter book adaptations, and for some reason they decide to like just introduce like new additional pointless scenes. I don't understand why they do that. Okay, I've got a Streamlabs chat here, and I think this will be the last question. Unless other people put in super chats or Streamlabs chats, this will be the last question, unless anyone else does any more super chats. I'll answer those, but not any others now. So, let's see. Jonah White has asked, $5 Streamlabs super chat. Thank you very much, buddy. That really does help, as I said throughout this. Are you eager for the Bad Batch Season 3? The last season, unfortunately. I am very eager. I've got to see how it ends. I was originally going to put, just like I did with my last year's best movies list. Was it last year or the year before? When I put a Star Wars episode, was it the final season of the Clone Wars, and I put that as my #1 favorite movie. I was going to do that this year as well, with a couple arcs episodes that revolved around Crosshair. Because those were dark as shit. That first one especially, where him and which one was it? Which one was it? It was Cody, Commander Cody, and Crosshair team up. That episode was just messed up, and the music, it ended on such a glim place. I was like, that is the fantastically executed Clone Wars that I love. I gave that episode a 10 out of 10. Then the other episode that they do, where he's on the ice, where he's on the snow with his other cadet, I was like, that was also a 10 out of 10 for me. That would have been like I was thinking when I saw that earlier this last year, I was like, that is going to be my top, my best movie of the year, because it was amazing. Just 2 episodes, and there was a split between them as well. They were both separated with other episodes in the middle, and they were still great. I loved that so much. That was something I was going to do as my #1 best movie of this year, but I didn't do it. I thought that was fine for 1 year. I won't do it again. So I'm telling you guys now. And Iron Warrior has done a $5 super chat as well, who says, hey Eric, caught you in time, showing some support here. You have shown a ton of support. Thank you very much. This is not the only time you've donated. You've donated many times. And to all of you who donate as well, you really do, like I said, you really do help me make this a living, and if it wasn't for you, I don't know where I'd be. So thank you very much for the super chats. Thank you very much for the Streamlabs super chats. Remember, with the Streamlabs super chats, you can donate at any time. It's not just, just during these live streams. So thank you so much, guys. I really, really do appreciate it. Went a couple minutes overtime, but it was a couple nice minutes. Like I said, I always enjoy doing these live streams with you. It's the best way I can find to spend time with you. So thank you very much for your support. And if by some miracle in the next few minutes or next few seconds I get a super chat, like I say, don't worry, I always answer those. I take those seriously. But thank you very much for your continued support, and I can't wait to do the next live stream with you guys next week. So thank you very much for watching, guys, as always, and I will catch all of you very, very soon with my top 10 worst movies of 2023. Thanks again, guys, and I'll catch all of you next time. This is Eric, Captain Eric, signing out.